The stock market, it's just flashing these promises of incredible wealth, right? It feels like this direct path to financial freedom. But, it's not one single road. There are two very different paths you can take: trading and investing. Today, we're going to break these down. One seems like this thrilling, crazy sprint to riches. The other, a slow, steady climb to freedom. The real question is, which one actually works?
I mean, if you spent even 5 minutes on social media, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen the stories, right? The screenshots of just insane profits, all the talk about getting rich in a matter of weeks, and it all boils down to this one huge question. Is trading really the easiest way to get rich? It's a super tempting idea for sure, so let's actually look at the evidence.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the dream. The image that gets everyone hooked. It's this vision of the trader lifestyle, this picture of just effortless success and total luxury that feels like it's just a few mouse clicks away. Just picture this for a second. You roll out of bed, maybe around 11 a.m. Grab your laptop, trade for what, 30 minutes? And boom, you pocket a cool 25,000 rupees. Just like that. The rest of the day is yours. Go to the beach, do whatever. This is the dream. This is the lifestyle that's pushed so hard online, and it's what sucks millions of people in. But is any of it real?
All right, it is time for a serious reality check. Because behind that super glamorous dream, there is a much, much harsher truth. And it's a truth that, unfortunately, most new traders find out the hard way.
And look at this quote. What's so powerful here isn't just the words, it's who said them. This isn't some random skeptic. This is from Nitin Kamath, the founder of Zerodha, the biggest stock brokerage firm in India. And he says day trading is probably the toughest place on planet to make easy money. Wow. When the guy running the entire show tells you it's incredibly difficult, you should probably listen up.
And this isn't just one person's opinion. We've got hard data to back this up. Just recently, SEBI, which is India's main market regulator, they did this big investigation into these trading academies. And what they found was a huge, widespread problem with the very gurus who are out there selling that dream lifestyle.
This slide just perfectly shows you the kind of deception we're talking about. SEBI found that so many of these testimonials were just completely fake. Get this, one person claimed they turned 1.8 lakhs into 45 lakhs. The actual reality, they had lost 5.5 lakhs in that exact same time frame. Let me just repeat that. The story they sold you was a 45 lakh gain. The reality was a 5.5 lakh loss. It's not just a little exaggeration, it's the literal opposite of what happened.
Okay, here's a really subtle but super powerful clue. You've probably heard of F&O, right? Futures and options. It's a popular way to trade, but it's also incredibly risky. Now try this. Go to YouTube and just type in F&O. One of the very first search suggestions that's going to pop up is F&O loss ITR filing. Just let that sink in for a second. So many people are losing money trading these things that figuring out how to file those losses on their tax returns has become a top search term. That tells you everything you need to know about the real story.
All right, so we've pretty much established that this is incredibly tough and that most people are losing money. But there are people who win, and they win consistently. So what is it? What separates that top 5% from literally everyone else? How in the world are they managing to make a profit in a game where the odds are so completely stacked against them?
Well, the answer really comes down to mastering 3 core concepts. You can think of them like the 3 essential pillars holding up a professional trader's entire career. And here's the thing, if even one of those pillars is weak, the whole structure, it's guaranteed to just collapse.
So what are these pillars? First, you need a systematic process for buying and selling. Second, you absolutely have to have strict, ironclad risk management. And third, and this is a big one, you need to master your own psychology. Let's dive into each one of these.
All right, pillar number 1, a systematic process. This has nothing to do with guessing or following your gut. No way. This is all about having a mechanical, repeatable set of rules that tells you exactly when to buy and exactly when to sell. It's about taking your emotions completely out of the equation. And there's this legendary trader, a guy named Richard Dennis, who proved just how powerful this idea really is.
So get this story. Back in the 70s, this guy Dennis turned just $400 into $200 million. Unbelievable. But he was convinced that his method wasn't magic, that it could be taught. So he made a bet with a friend. He went out and recruited a group of 23 totally ordinary people. He called them his turtles. And he just taught them his simple, rule-based system. And the result? Over the next 5 years, these students, these turtles, they made a combined $175 million.
It's incredible proof that a system can work. But, and this is the key part, it demands absolute discipline. The turtles didn't rely on gut feelings. They just followed the rules, period. No matter what.
But look, having a great system is just the first step. Because even the best system in the world is going to have losing trades. That's just part of the game. And that brings us to the second, absolutely critical pillar, risk management. This is all about the skill of controlling your losses. See, the goal is not to win every single trade. The real goal is to make sure that when you do win, your wins are way, way bigger than your losses. And a legendary hedge fund manager named Paul Tudor Jones was an absolute master at this.
Okay, now this is what's so fascinating. If you look at Paul Tudor Jones's performance, he was actually wrong more often than he was right. His win rate was only about 40%. That means he lost money on 6 out of every 10 trades he made. So how did he become a billionaire? It's because he was ruthless about cutting his losses short, and he let his winning trades run. That's how he became one of the most successful traders ever. So the key takeaway here isn't about being right all the time. It's about making sure your wins are big enough to pay for all those small, manageable losses.
And that leads us perfectly into our third, and honestly, probably the most difficult pillar of all, mastering your own psychology. Think about it. You can have the best system on the planet, a perfect risk management plan, but it's all completely useless if you don't have the mental discipline to actually stick to it, especially when those two big emotions, fear and greed, start screaming in your head. Another legendary trader, Ed Seykota, he figured this out a long time ago.
So, Ed Seykota was one of the first people to use computers to create trading systems, and he realized something profound. The system itself worked perfectly. The problem was the human being operating it, who kept messing things up because of their emotions. He famously boiled his entire philosophy down to just 3 simple rules. You ready? Rule number 1, cut your losses. Rule number 2, cut your losses. And rule number 3, cut your losses. He repeated it because it's that important. It's about overcoming that dangerous hope that a losing trade will just magically turn around, and fighting the greed that tells you to hold on just a little bit longer.
So here's the bottom line. Mastering these 3 pillars, the system, the risk management, and your own psychology, this is not a part-time side hustle you do for 30 minutes a day from your laptop. No, it is a full-time profession. It is every bit as demanding as becoming a doctor or an engineer. And for most of us, with regular jobs, families, and other commitments, that just isn't a realistic path. Okay, so if professional trading is this incredibly demanding, full-time job, does that mean financial freedom is out of reach for the rest of us? Absolutely not. There is another path, and it's called long-term investing, and it is a completely different way of looking at the market.
This slide really breaks down the core difference beautifully. Short-term trading, for the most part, it's a zero-sum game. The best way to think about it is like a poker game, right? For you to win a big pot of money, somebody else at that table has to lose their chips. It's just wealth moving from one person to another. Long-term investing, though, is a positive-sum game. Your profit isn't coming from some other guy's loss, it's coming from a real company's success, from them building new things, creating valuable products, and actually growing their earnings. So you see the difference? You're not trying to compete against the market, you're actually growing with the market.
And this fundamental difference, competing against the market versus growing with it, this leads you to a really critical choice. And it's not just about picking a strategy. It's about figuring out what your ultimate goal really is. So you have to ask yourself, are you just looking for a short-term thrill, or are you trying to build real, long-term financial freedom?
Let's just lay this choice out side by side. On one hand, you have trading. It offers that thrill, right? The short-term excitement, the bragging rights. And yeah, a very, very tiny few might get rich. But it demands that you are glued to a screen, constantly watching. On the other hand, you have investing. What does that offer? Freedom. It's about building long-term security. It's a path where so many more people can actually become financially free, not just some lucky few. And best of all, it lets your money work for you, compounding quietly in the background while you go out and live your life.
And so that's the question we want to leave you with. It's something for you to really think about. When you look at the market, what do you truly see? Is it just an arena for a quick thrill, a bit of a gamble? Or is it a powerful vehicle for building lasting, genuine freedom for you and your family? The path you choose, well, it's going to determine everything. So choose wisely. Thanks for tuning in.